Welcome to the show. I'm Phil, partner at Webisoft. I'm here with
Jody Lauwers.
Jody. Welcome and thank you for coming on. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, what you do, about your company, and let's start there.
I'm a safety specialist. My education is in construction and oil and gas safety. I have been a safety consultant for over 5 years. I've been in the safety industry for over a dozen years. I went into teaching for about 5 years, taught safety to all of our union workers here in Sarnia. And then I moved on in my career into a general manager's position for a different company. And in July, I ventured out on my own and opened LRP Safety Professionals here in Sarnia on Confederation Street.
So this is a new venture for you then.
The business part of it, yes. Yep. I was, you're out in the world and you're making somebody else's business thrive, and it just comes a time where you think, why am I not doing this for myself? So when I opened LRP Safety Professionals, I decided to put a little bit of a different spin on it, and I have a retail store within my office, and I carry an exclusive line of women's workwear. So coveralls, cargo pants, hoodies, shirts, everything that fits a woman. So no more wearing men's coveralls that are 10 times too big on you out in the field here in Sarnia. I am the first storefront for Cover Gals. That is the brand of clothing I carry. So on top of the safety consulting, I have that retail side as well.
So was that a challenge for you over the years, just finding essentially clothing or equipment that would fit?
Absolutely. It is a challenge for every woman in the construction industry and in the industrial oil and gas industry. We have only ever had men's workwear to wear. So when you're going to the store, you're buying the smallest size of coveralls of men's. But as you know, our bodies are different, our waistlines are different.
Mm-hmm.
And I have said for years, being out in the field within our local refineries and construction sites, that we do our last minute risk assessments to eliminate all our hazards in the field, but we're actually bringing a hazard with us by our clothing because it never fits. So it's hanging off you, you're rolling up your sleeves, you're rolling up your pant legs, tripping hazards, getting caught in machinery. It just didn't fit us properly. And we were always just told, well, you're in a man's world. So suck it up, wear it, and get to work. And essentially, back maybe years ago, we were in a men's world. Women out in the industrial settings, being operators at our refineries, all of our tradeswomen, but things have evolved and there are a lot of women now in the field within the oil and gas industry and the construction industry that we shouldn't have to suck it up anymore and wear men's clothing. So I brought something fresh and new into Sarnia for our oil and gas industry and our construction industry.
Is there a big oil and gas presence in Sarnia?
Oh, yes, very big. Yeah, we have what we call our big six. So
Mm-hmm.
that's Imperial Oil,
Mm-hmm.
also known as Exxon Mobil, used to be Esso. We have our Shell refinery, Suncor refinery, Nova Chemicals refinery. We have Plains Midstream. There's multiple oil and gas refineries here in Sarnia.
What's the journey been like so far? Like as an entrepreneur, obviously this is a new thing for you, but like, are you happy so far with the change?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. With being in this industry for over 12 years now, being out in the field doing safety for the first several years of my career and then going into teaching, I guess everybody knows my name. Like
Mm.
everybody recognizes my voice. Apparently, that's where it all stems from. So I'm very well known within Sarnia and surrounding areas for all the years of safety I've been here. So the transition into my own business has been actually very overwhelming, but very rewarding. A lot of my past clients, when they knew I ventured out on my own, they came with me.
Nice.
And so things started up very, very fast for me. A lot of my coworkers from my previous job also came with me. So it just, I guess, signified to me that I'm doing something right out there when the
Mm.
clients follow me and the staff follows me, that I am very respected within the field that we're in.
Yeah, that's always a good sign if they follow
Yes,
you.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, especially these days. There's a lot of emphasis on people as brands, right? And I think more and more you want to work with the person, not necessarily the brand behind it.
I completely agree with you there. Yes. When people follow because of your name, your reputation, your
Hmm.
professionalism, then it just showed that those clients were there because I was doing something right. They weren't there necessarily for the business name.
So as now CEO, I guess, of LRP, like what takes up most of your time?
Dealing with the clients, interacting with the clients, making sure that all of their safety is kept up to par, all of their policies are per standard and regulations. Going out on site, I have a lot of construction sites that we are running on the safety aspect of things. I have a full time day to day health and safety advisor that bops around from company to company, job site to job site. But because we're so busy, and that's why I'm wearing my high vis right now, I just came in from 3 construction sites that I've been at this morning. So, just really the safety aspect of it and making sure that the clients are staying up to standards within the Ministry of Labor and the regulations that are out there.
So what's a typical engagement for you as a company? Like what do clients come to you for typically? Is it like a full, is there like a standard safety package that they go with, or is it a mandatory thing they need to engage a consultant like you every mandate?
Yeah, so just through our Green Book, our Occupational Health and Safety Act, we have a lot of regulations to follow out in the field when it pertains to the employer, the supervisor, and the worker. So we make sure all of that stays up to standard, stays up to regulation. If by chance maybe the Ministry of Labor comes on site to do an inspection on one of our construction sites or industrial sites and they find something that isn't up to standard, then those companies then call me and I will go out to site, read over the ministry's non-compliance orders, and I will get the site all back up to compliance. Then we call the Ministry of Labor inspector back in to re-inspect, lift the orders, and then we can continue work. So I get a lot of companies that call me that have never dealt with me before,
Mm.
but they know what we do here. And so if they have any issues on site, or they might, one of the sites I'm at right now, the company, they had some subcontractors coming in, and day after day after day, these subcontractors were not following regulations. So now I've been going there every day. I deal directly with the subcontractors. Not reprimand by no means. I feel education and training is far better than reprimanding and degrading, right?
Hmm.
So I go out to site and I just work with some companies out on site to get them to respect safety a little bit more.
I assume at one point it becomes a liability for the employer if, you know, their subcontractors or their consultants don't follow safety measures, right? Like there's I'm sure an insurance aspect to this. Do you feel pressure sometimes to like, especially so you say like you can't really reprimand them, but like at one point they have to listen, otherwise there are possible consequences, right?
Yeah, we always have disciplinary steps and actions to take. There's some people out there, there's some safety professionals out there where they'd rather go straight to the disciplinary actions, whereas myself and my team that I have out in the field, like I said earlier, we're on education and training.
Mm-hmm.
So I will educate and I will train, but then you always know if you get those ones that no matter what you do, they're never going to
You
respect
can
safety.
you can spot them easier with time. Yeah.
Well, those ones, at some point you got to get firm with them
Hmm.
and put in disciplinary actions or stop their work or escort them off site and, come back tomorrow when you have all your documentation or all your correct PPE, or you're ready to follow what the ministry expects of you.
Hmm.
It's very hard for the constructor of projects. They hold the main part of the liability. So these subcontractors come on site, and if somebody wasn't tied off working at heights and they fell off of a building or out of a man lift, that's going to come down on the constructor of the project. So that's where we come in. We're usually hired by the constructor or one of the main representatives, and we come in and we just show our presence on site and make sure everybody is complying and do any corrective actions that we need to while we're out there.
Hmm. So whether it's in oil and gas or health and safety, like where do you see the most waste?
As in what? The waste in.
Could be time or resources or money.
Yeah, I'm going to say out on construction sites. Oil and gas, when we go into our big refineries, they are so structured and so disciplined within the oil and gas industry that we don't have a lot of issues there. I have advisors that go out into our local refineries, our oil and gas. They'll go out during a turnaround, so during maintenance shutdown, and we don't have a lot of non-compliance out there. It is very, very structured. It's more in the construction industry where unfortunately sometimes if you get a company that doesn't respect safety, safety costs
Mm.
money, right?
Yeah.
Safety costs, it can cost you a lot of money to have safety advisors out and have your morning toolbox meetings or your weekly safety meetings. And there's a lot of just smaller companies where they don't want to spend the money on that safety, and it's very unfortunate. So they just send their workers out to site with no training, no proper certifications, and they hope for the best. And that's where we have our critical injuries and our fatalities are a lot higher in construction than it is in the oil and gas industry.
Yeah, it's scary to think about.
It is. Whenever I whenever I have somebody tell me, "Oh, my son's working for a roofing company this summer and he's 17 years old," or "My son's going and working for this construction company right out of high school." It scares the living daylights out of me because
Yeah, you know what's happening in the background.
exactly.
Yeah.
And young kids, they're not aware of the safety or what should be going on out there. So that's where companies like myself come in, and we make sure that those young kids are going home to their mom and dad at the end of the day alive, and that they're not getting that phone call that they have been critically injured on the job site.
Mm. What's a what's an outdated process that you're still stuck with? Like something that just hasn't evolved, and it's like you said. I think you mentioned earlier, like it's just a way, it's been done, right?
Yeah, yeah, you get some of them, yeah, the baby boomers, they're really hard. They're really hard out on site because they're the ones that will say, "Oh, back in my day, we, we climbed steel 100 feet without any tile,"
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but something that isn't quite caught up yet, that's honestly a very hard question because safety has evolved tremendously over the last even 10 years, where people are more safety conscious. I would have to say what hasn't evolved yet is the smaller companies. They're the smaller privately owned companies that are not on board yet with the regulations, with the Health and Occupational Health and Safety Act, and would rather cut corners to save themselves a buck.
Mm.
But when it comes to overall safety, we're evolving pretty good. Yeah, we're evolving pretty good because even in the safety equipment, they now make women's harnesses that fit a woman
Mm-hmm.
more properly than a man. As I said, with my retail, we're now getting it's being growing with the clothing to properly fit women.
As I asked the question, I was reminded that that's probably one aspect that was always done one way that you've now changed. So up until recently, that was probably a legacy kind of problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even to the gloves, there's a proper pair of gloves for every job. And some companies may present you with one pair of gloves and say, well, that's all we got, put them on. Doesn't necessarily mean they're the proper gloves to do the job you have to do, right? There's still some room for growth when it comes to our personal protective equipment for
Mm-hmm.
men and women, but it's getting there. Everything is evolving. Some things maybe at a little bit slower pace than others. I see us from when I started in the safety world over 12 years ago to where we are now. Great improvements across the board, whether it be in construction or the oil and gas industry.
And do you think that's the same way? So obviously your experiences with the Canadian landscape. Are you also familiar with, let's say, what's happening in the U.S.? Like, are there big differences in health and safety between the two countries?
There is, and I am very well aware of OSHA in the States because we have a couple companies we represent that are Canadian, but they have sister companies in America.
Mm-hmm.
We do all of their policies, procedures as well, their manuals. So we have to keep our knowledge up of what's going on in America to be able to properly develop documentation for them. And to be honest with you, like people may say, oh, America's so far behind. They're not. They're not. I think that's just people they just want to say that and they
Mm-hmm.
don't know. And I have found there's some processes in the States that are above ours here in Canada. So they're evolving as well. And I'm just going to give you a quick example. So our respiratory fit tests. So if you're going out and you're working with silica dust or anything that you may need a respirator for, here in Canada, we just make an appointment at one of the facilities who's authorized to do the fit testing. We go get the fit test. It could be a 3M mask, it could be North, or it could be a Scott Fresh Air mask. We just make the appointment, we go, we do the test, we get our certification card, and we're good for 2 years. In America, you need to get a doctor's note to say you are physically fit to go and get a respirator fit test done, because they put a mask on you and you have to go through a series of breathing activities through a machine. And over there, you have to get a doctor approval before you go to get a fit test to make sure that you don't have any breathing ailments.
Hmm.
You don't have.
Underlying conditions or
That's exactly right. So they've evolved in some areas of their safety that we're not there yet. So I do find it to be very comparable. Now, mind you, they do lack in some areas, but we do too, right? So they're getting there, just like us, and it's learning, right? A lot of times things don't change until something bad happens.
unfortunately, yeah.
That's the way it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Like children, they need to
yeah,
burn themselves before they realize you were right. You
yeah.
shouldn't touch the grill. Where do you see as what's the biggest opportunity for innovation in your line of work?
The biggest opportunity.
Hmm.
Like, so are you talking safety, or are you talking oil, gas,
It
construction?
could be both. Let's do both actually. Let's start oil and gas. Where do you see as, what do you see as the most room, let's say, for innovation, for new improvements, for new technologies to come in and change things?
Oh, there's new technologies every day coming in. So where I can see some innovation is when you're out on site, we all wear gas monitors in the oil and gas industry, right? So there's a
Hmm.
lot of hidden hazards when it comes to your steam lines and all of your processes in the oil and gas. So we're always wearing our gas monitors. Some monitors just test for H2S. Other monitors will test for benzene, oxygen, H2S, many different types of gas monitors out there. So we always have personal protective monitors on us. So if we're walking through an area in one of our refineries and there is H2S in the area, that monitor is going to sound. So you're gonna leave the area. So some of the new innovation that's coming out, and we only use it at one of our refineries right now, and I'm not going to mention the oil and gas company's name, but they're called man down monitors.
Mm.
So they test for all your gases, but it has I guess, a radar inside the monitor. So if you don't have movement of your body, this monitor is going to start alarming. So if you're in an area and maybe somebody can't see you and you drop,
Mm.
the monitor now does not detect your body movement. So it's now going to start sounding an alarm. So people know there may be a man down, whether it be inside a confined space or just walking through an operating unit. So that is one of the innovations coming out safety wise for our oil and gas industry, is our man down monitors.
That's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
it has like it's basically, multiple, it solves multiple problems.
it does. It
So
does.
like all around like kind of smart sensors or like smart
Yeah.
equipment would be.
Yeah, it's got like a motion detector in it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as the gas detection. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If you could fix one inefficiency, like way, I want you have a magic wand and magically solve one major problem that you see in the industry, which one would it be?
If I could magically solve one thing in the industry, it would be critical injuries. It would be everybody going home safe, injury free, and alive at the end of every day.
Yeah, it helps if you're alive.
Yeah.
Um,
We just, I attend meetings every month for the IHSA, which is the Infrastructure Health and Safety Association.
mhm.
And there is always a gentleman from the Ministry of Labor that attends these meetings as well. So we always have a moment of silence every meeting for those that didn't make it home the month before to their families. And then we always review the Ministry of Labor's reports and on fatalities and critical injuries. And it always saddens me reading the reports because we're going into the year 2026.
Mhm.
We shouldn't have critical injuries. We shouldn't have fatalities out there. There's enough education, training, certifications out there for everybody to keep themselves safe. And unfortunately, a lot of times it it comes down to the actual individual themselves because you're responsible for your own actions, but a lot of times it is the reflection of negligent employers who
Mm.
don't buy the proper equipment, don't certify their workers properly, and it boils down to the bottom dollar. Just get out there, do the job, get it done, let's make money, let's go to the next job. And
Mhm.
I would love to see those statistics go away and every month them being zero for everything. Now that's very wishful thinking. I
Yeah,
don't know if that will ever happen, but from a safety standpoint, that's where I'd like to see things.
very well said. What are you in your opinion, what are you best at?
Talking. um, what am I best at in my professional career?
Yes. Yes.
Education and training. Yeah,
Mhm.
interacting with the workers. Yeah, I'm very good at talking, at interacting, at I'm always at the same level as everybody else out in the field. I'm
Mhm.
just because I do what I do and I'm a safety specialist, I'm not better than any of my workers out there. And treating people with respect. If they respect me and then they will respect what I say and they will respect the advice I give them in the field. I think that's one of my biggest qualities. And I find that even I was on out on a construction site 2 days ago, and a worker that I have not seen on a job site in probably 10 years remembered me. And he remembered me for something I taught him in the field on safety that he said he still carries with him to this day. And to me, I thought that was pretty incredible. I did not remember this gentleman. I will admit, like I see thousands, right?
Yeah.
Did not remember him. But the minute he walked by me, he stopped. He remembered my name. He remembered what site we were on. And he remembered the advice I gave him. And I walked away from there a couple days ago thinking, that's why I love my job.
Do you remember what the advice was? Is
No,
it too technical?
no, I don't. And I didn't ask him because I didn't want him to know that I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, 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 I see. Well,
So,
hopefully he doesn't listen to this.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm just best at the interaction with the workers out in the field. And there is a saying in safety, like I'm a health and safety advisor. I'm out there to advise you of the hazards, advise you of corrective measures, I'm not out there to enforce, I'm
Yeah.
not an enforcer, a controller. I'm out there to advise you in the best way to go home safe at the end of the day. And it's all on your approach when you're in the field of safety. And I think
Hmm.
I'm very good at that.
Well, he certainly made an impression there, if you remember after 10 years. And then we're coming up on time. So my last question is kind of a two-part question, and you've probably answered the first one a little bit, but you can choose a different answer if you want. What keeps you up at night? Let's say for the next year or next couple of years, and typically a lot of people go to AI and like maybe robots taking over in your case on some of those jobs, or at least like job displacement, let's say. And then what do you think would be a blocker, like the biggest blocker for innovation, let's say in oil and gas? Would it be tech resources or the culture?
Okay. So I'll answer that one first. How's that? The culture for the oil and
Mm,
gas.
yeah.
Absolutely. And what keeps me up at night? I don't know. Not a lot. Maybe okay, explain that again about what keeps me up at night. Give me
Well, so it could be related to obviously your new venture as a solopreneur or not necessarily solopreneur, but yeah, you have a company now, so it could be could be cash flow, it could be client acquisition, it could be the safety of others, like you said earlier, right? Which was
yeah,
yeah.
I guess I'm a analyzer. I'm a thinker. I will think of something 50 different ways before I make a decision. I have
Hmm.
to analyze everything. So when I have things going on site, or I know I'm going to a site the next day, I analyze that through my mind 50 times before I go to the site, how many different ways that scenario could go. And it goes down to always the worker. Like, what is my best ways that I can keep this crew safe with the job we're doing tomorrow, whether it might be an excavation, we might be climbing a tower in the refinery 120 feet.
Hmm.
So stuff like that will keep me up. And it's usually always based on what is my best way to keep the workers safe, to follow regulations, to comply with the ministry and our Occupational Health and Safety Act. And like I said, when it comes to the oil and gas, it would definitely be the culture. We have some work to do out there when it comes to the culture of things, whether it be 100 men on site with 2 women. That's a
Hmm.
that's a huge culture issue. With some people accepting the women in the field, the women in the trades as operators, as engineers, like, jobs that used to be a man's job. It's no longer. It's no longer just a man's job. There is women taking over this world. And it's honestly amazing to see. Like, I am a huge supporter of women in any field out there, but to see them inside our oil and gas refineries as engineers and operators and IT, the culture's changing, and a lot of people change with it, but we still have those ones out there that go against Bill 168, which is our harassment and violence policy through the Ministry of Labor. And
Hmm.
that culture, it's having it. We struggle at time to change that culture and enforce Bill 168, but we're getting there. It's everything.
There's progress.
There is progress. There's a lot of progress left to be made, but I've seen a lot of progress over the last dozen years or more.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yes, yes, it is.
Well, Jody, this was great. A very insightful conversation. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.